Hi folks, we're going to take a look at the solution to 18b on page 141. So here we've got a polynomial inequality, and what's nice about it is it's already in the form that we like, which is all terms to one side less than or greater than 0. So here we've got less than or equal to 0. So our goal is to factor the left side, sketch the graph of the resulting function, and then read the answer straight off the graph. All right. So I notice that there's a coefficient, a leading coefficient not equal to 1. So I know I might have to consider some fractional zeros here when I'm using the factor theorem. But I'm going to hope that I'm going to get an integer 0. So I'm just going to focus on the factors of 12 for now. And then if I need to, I'll take a look at the leading coefficient. All right. So as I suggest, give this a name so that you can easily just keep track, show what you're doing on the side so that you're showing your process. So I'm going to start with the polynomial evaluated at 1. And 1 and -1 you can usually do without a calculator. Anything beyond that, especially with these large coefficients, I'm going to use a calculator. So here we have 6 plus 13. So 19 minus 41 plus 12. Right away I can see that's not going to be equal to 0. All right. So let's try -1. Here. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to keep track of the sign based on the fact that I know what the exponents are. So this will remain negative. This will become positive, the x squared. This will remain negative. So if you're not comfortable with that, you might want to, in your calculator, as you're doing it, put the -1 in brackets and let the calculator do the work for you. So you should decide how comfortable you are with that. So this is going to be -6 plus 13 is 7. Plus 41 plus 12, definitely not equal to 0. All right. At this point, though, I think I should take my calculator. Okay, so let's do, so 6 times 2 cubed is 8, plus 13 times 2 squared is 4, minus 41 times 2, plus 12. And that's not equal to 0. So p at 2 not equal to 0. So let's try p at -2. Okay, so again here I'm going to keep track of my signs. So that's going to be -6 times 2 cubed is 8, plus 13 times 2 squared is 4. That's going to end up being plus 41 times 2, and then plus 12, and that's not equal to 0. Okay, so let's move on to 3, p at 3. So this one here, taking a little more time than usual. Let's see if this works here. So 6 times 3 cubed is 27, plus 13 times 3 squared is 9, minus 41 times 3, plus 12. Oh, still no luck. Not equal to 0. Let's go to p at -3. Okay, so sometimes it does take a while before you find your factor. So that's going to be negative. So -6 times 3 cubed is 27, so plus 13 times 9, plus 41 times 3, plus 12. Still no luck, not equal to 0. Maybe we'll have to get into fractions. Let's hope 4 works. Okay, so let's do this here. 6 times 4 cubed is 64, plus 13 times 4 squared is 16, minus 41 times 4, plus 12. Whoa, that's definitely not going to work. Okay, let's try p at -4. Okay, so here, what do we have? We have 6 times 4 cubed. I guess that's 64. And here already, I just realized, made a mistake. I forgot to keep track of the sign. So maybe it would be better to actually put it in brackets. So let's keep track of the sign. -6 times 64 plus 13 times 4 squared is 16. This is going to end up being plus 41 times 4 plus 12. And oh, lo and behold, we finally get a 0. So this one took a while. This one certainly took a while. So let's now do the division here. So it's -4, so I'm going to have -4, and here, what do we have? Our coefficients are 6, 13, -41, and 12. So 6, this is going to be -24, so just to be sure, 13 minus 24, -11, This is going to be 44. So negative 41 plus 44 is 3. And then negative 4 times 3, negative 12. So I get my remainder of 0. All right. So that means that this expression here can be written as x plus 4 times 6x squared minus 11x plus 3. And that needs to be less than or equal to 0. So let's see if this is nicely factorable. Well, here, if 6 is 3 and 2, 3 times 3 is 9, and then the 2 should get me to 11. So that actually will factor nicely here. So I'm going to have 3x squared and 3x and 2x. And here I want the 3 to multiply the 3. That's going to give me my negative 9. And then I'm going to put my 1 here, minus 2, negative 11. All right, less than or equal to 0. And so now I have enough information to sketch this graph. So it's a cubic polynomial with a positive leading coefficient. Okay, I'm looking for less than or equal to 0, so I'm going to make sure that I fill in those circles that represent my zeros. So I got negative 4 here. My other two zeros are 1/3 and 3/2. So obviously 1/3 is the smaller one. So here's 1/3, and then here 3/2 is 1.5. I'll just leave it as 3/2. And now my cubic, because it has a positive leading coefficient, looks like this. So now I can just read my answer right off the graph, that x is going to be an element of the sets, so less than or equal to 0. So from negative infinity to negative 4. Okay, here inclusive, because I'm including the 4, and then union, the numbers between 1/3 and 3/2, including both. So square brackets, 1/3 to 3/2, and there's my answer. All right, so just to recap, we already had all the terms to one side and 0 on the other. So our main goal here was to factor. It took us quite a while to find a factor. We see that 1/3, 3/2. Eventually, we could have found one if we started looking at the fractions too. And then once you have it in factor form, sketch graph and read the answer right off it. All right, that's it for this one.